After the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, Russia found itself at a crossroads with a country in flux and an economy in transition. At this crucial time, a group of people who would later be referred to as oligarchs first emerged. You are strong. Putin's oligarchs, Russian oligarchs, were affluent, powerful individuals whose ascent to power would influence the path of Russian history. These oligarchs in Russia began an audacious experiment at the beginning of the 1990s to transition from a tightly controlled state-driven economy to a free market system. This period of economic reform, known as privatization, aimed to close down state-owned enterprises that were wildly inefficient and indebted, and to open the door for privately owned businesses that stimulate the economy. However, as the oligarchs' influence increased, disputes within this elite brotherhood occurred, and their objectives frequently ran counter to the state's vision. The oligarchs and Putin. Putin and the oligarchs. Many of the oligarchs supported Boris Yeltsin's second term as president, enabling them to maintain the security of monopolization of the nation. At the time, Putin was growing in popularity, and many foresaw his rise to power. Thus, a sizable number of oligarchs supported his election in 1999, unaware of what was to come. His arrival marked a turning point, bringing about a period of recalibration. The oligarchs, who had held tremendous authority thanks to their political clout and economic domination, found themselves up against a powerful foe in a confrontation and a power struggle that would determine Russia's future. The conflicts between Putin and the oligarchs were illustrative of a struggle for supremacy. Putin was acutely aware of this concentration of power within this elite few and set out on a quest to restore the state's authority and regain control over critical industries. Putin's administration's registration sparked legal disputes. The legal landscape transformed into a battleground as the state sought to lessen the oligarchs' political influence and financial stranglehold. The oligarchs, however, were not about to yield without a fight and brought their mighty resources and strategic prowess to bear in defense of their hard-won gains. To safeguard their acquisitions and manipulate public opinion, empires turned to legal defenses, political bluffing, and media campaigns. As the tug of war between Putin and the oligarchs played out, a new factor entered the picture. The fray, the Siloviki's ascent as they emerged from the depths of Russia's security apparatus. These groups of people with backgrounds in law enforcement and security shared a commitment to Putin. They embodied a new kind of power and dedication. The Siloviki. The Siloviki, known for their strongman tactics and unflinching dedication to the state's objectives, started to assume a more significant role. While the oligarchs had prospered on their financial muscle and political ties, this represented a fundamental shift in the power relations. The term Siloviki derives from the Russian word Silovik, which translates to person of power or forced person. This name encapsulates their origins within the realms of security and law enforcement agencies, highlighting their affiliation with strength, control, and unwavering loyalty to the state and its leadership. The Siloviki were composed of individual members who each held a position of power. Igor Sekin, the chairman of Rosneft and a close ally of President Putin, stood out among prominent figures within the Siloviki fold because of his background in the KGB and his extensive connections, which made him a key architect of Russia's energy sector. The Siloviki represented a potent combination of political influence and security expertise, frequently emphasizing stability and control. Dmitry Medvedev, who served as Russia's president from 2008 to 2012 and later as prime minister, is another notable Silovik. His association with Putin dates back to their time together in St. Petersburg, and his roles in various government positions highlighted the intertwined relationships between the Siloviki and the political elite. Medvedev is now better known as the man who threatens Europe and the US with a nuclear strike every Tuesday. The Siloviki's devotion to Putin and his outlook were. Those who supported his programs and showed unshakable devotion to his presidency frequently rose through the levels of authority, but failing Putin or losing his favor could have swift and severe effects. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, the consequences have become even more dire as Siloviki, who disappointed Putin, frequently found themselves flying out of a window meeting their due. This method of deposing unwanted Siloviki became so popular that the internet exploded with memes and jokes about how Russian oligarchs were being forced to learn their lesson. Worse, the Siloviki's emergence signaled a transition toward a more centralized and security-focused type of government. Their impact suited Putin's management style, which prioritized stability, control, and a practical approach to national governance. At this time, the traditional oligarchs had to choose between supporting and opposing Putin. The destinies of major oligarchs amid Russia's political theater create a clear picture of the consequences, both risky and profitable, that awaited those who dared to confront or cooperate with the Kremlin's authority. One of the most striking instances of opposition to Putin's rule was the case of Mikhail Khodorkovsky. Khodorkovsky was once a powerful figure in the Russian oil industry. He openly questioned Putin's political direction and supported opposition groups, but his actions were met with a swift and resolute response. In 2003, he was arrested and his oil company, UCOS, was dismantled through legal maneuvers, resulting in his 10-year imprisonment. This served as another person who found himself on the other side of Putin's equation was former tycoon and media mogul Boris Berezovsky. Tycoon Berezovsky once held a position of political power, but his growing opposition to Putin led to his self-imposed exile in the United Kingdom. His attempts to mobilize opposition forces abroad were largely unsuccessful, and his mysterious death in 2013 highlighted the risky nature of political dissent. Popular anti-corruption campaigner and opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been the target of numerous arrests, threats, and even an alleged assassination attempt by Russian security services. Despite being a target of the government, his unwavering dedication to uncovering corruption and his outspoken criticism of the Kremlin have made him a symbol of resistance. Alexander Litvinenko's case serves as a terrifying illustration of the lengths the Kremlin might take to suppress critics. Litvinenko, a former KGB agent who became a prominent opponent of Putin's regime, was poisoned in London in 2006 with a deadly dose of radioactive polonium, setting off a global uproar and throwing doubt on the strategies employed against opponents on the other end of the political spectrum. Oligarchs who supported Putin frequently found themselves in advantageous positions. A billionaire with close ties to Putin, Roman Abramovich was able to maintain and grow his economic interests, particularly in the energy industry. His dedication to the Kremlin was rewarded with power and protection. In addition, the fortunes of Mikhail Prokhorov and Alisher Usmanov, two oligarchs with close ties to the Russian Kremlin, improved. Prokhorov's involvement in politics, including his candidacy for president as an independent, did not impair his success during Putin's presidency, while Usmanov's varied ventures continued to prosper. Those who opted to serve Putin did find themselves living one genuinely wealthy lifestyle. Viktor Vekselberg, another oligarch who kept a cordial relationship with the Kremlin, was able to expand his commercial empire and become a key figure in Russia's business landscape. The oligarch's way of life, the oligarch's way of life. Roman Abramovich, who is best known for owning Chelsea Football Club, exemplified the opulent lifestyle that many oligarchs enjoyed. His grand yachts, opulent estates, and high-end art collections display his immense wealth. A close friend of Putin, Abramovich also successfully merged his business and political affiliations to establish himself as a major player in both spheres. Roman Abramovich lived a lavish lifestyle that included the azure waters, where his fleet of expensive yachts transformed into floating palaces of excess. The Eclipse, one of the largest and most opulent private yachts in the world with amenities including numerous swimming pools, a specialized disco hall, and even a missile defense system, was a prominent ship in his collection. The Eclipse perfectly captured Abramovich's penchant for pushing the limits of opulence on the high seas. His private jets, like a specially designed Boeing 767, allowed him to transition from the waves to the skies without losing his air of exclusivity and grandeur. Mikhail Prokhorov was a remarkable person recognized for his active lifestyle who possessed a cosmopolitan aura thanks to his ownership of the Brooklyn Nets basketball team and his interests in the entertainment industry. While his luxury living quarters and lavish celebrations provided a peek into his high-flying world, Prokhorov dabbled in politics and sought the Russian presidency in 2012. With a fleet of private jets designed to fit his jet-setting lifestyle, globetrotter by nature Mikhail Prokhorov expanded his cosmopolitan aura to the skies. These aircraft served as more than simply means of transportation, they also served as mobile command centers for his numerous endeavors. Prokhorov's huge property holdings highlighted his fast-paced way of life. His homes, whether they were his expansive villa in the French Alps or his opulent penthouse overlooking Manhattan, were representations of his global influence and his capacity to clumsily switch between the most famous places in the world. Usmanov rose to popularity as one of Russia's wealthiest people thanks to his path to wealth, which was mostly through metals and mining. Among his acquisitions was a sizable investment in the Arsenal Football Club, which helped to raise his international profile. Usmanov's love of the arts and his philanthropy highlighted a more complex strategy for his lavish lifestyle that combined business culture and social duty. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.